Secrecy lies at the very core of power. The act of lying in wait for prey is essentially secret. Hiding, or taking on the color of its surroundings and betraying itself by no movement, the lurking creature disappears entirely, covering itself with secrecy as with a second skin. This state, which can last for a long time, is characterized by a peculiar blend of patience and impatience and, the longer it lasts, the fiercer becomes the anticipation of the moment of success. But in order to achieve success in the end, the watcher must be capable of endless patience. If this breaks a moment too soon, everything will have been in vain and, weighed down with disappointment, he must start again from the beginning. The final seizing of the prey is open, for terror is part of its intended effect, but from the moment of incorporation onwards, everything happens in the dark again. The mouth is dark and the stomach and bowels still darker. No one knows and no one thinks about what goes on inside him. Of this absolutely fundamental process of incorporation, by far the larger part remains secret. It begins with the active and deliberate secrecy of lying in wait and ends as something unknown and involuntary in the secret recesses of the body. Only the intervening moment of seizure flashes out, like lightning illuminating its own brief passage. The profoundest secret is that which is enacted within the body. A medicine man who works from his knowledge of bodily processes has to undergo special operations on his own body before he is allowed to practice his profession. The power of remaining silent is always highly valued. It means being able to resist the innumerable provocations to speech, treating questions as though they had never been put and never letting it be seen whether what others say has caused pleasure or the reverse. It is voluntary dumbness, and it is not deaf. The Stoic virtue of imperturbability, if carried to the extreme, would lead to silence. The man who maintains a deliberate silence knows exactly what should be left unspoken. Since, in practice, no one can remain silent forever, he has to decide what can be said and what cannot. It is the latter which he really knows. It is more precise and is also more precious. Silence not only guards it, but gives it greater concentration. He is forced to think about it every time he has to protect it. A man who says very little in any case always appears more concentrated than others. His silence leads one to suppose that he has much to conceal, that he is thinking of something secret. The secret concealed in silence should never be forgotten. Its possessor is respected for not surrendering it, even though it grows in him and bums him more and more fiercely. Silence isolates. A man who remains silent is more alone than those who talk. Thus the power of self-sufficiency is attributed to him. He is the guardian of a treasure and the treasure is within himself. Silence inhibits self-transformation. A man who will not speak can dissemble, but only in a rigid way. He can wear a mask, but he has to keep a firm hold of it. The fluidity of transformation is denied him, its result is too uncertain, he cannot know where it would take him if he surrendered to it. People become silent when they fear transformation. Silence prevents them responding to occasions for transformation. All men's movements are played out in speech, silence is motionless. The taciturn person has the advantage that people wait for his utterances and attach special importance to them. When they come they are terse and isolated and sound like commands. The man-made distinction between those who give orders and those who have to obey them implies that they have no common language between them. They are supposed to behave as though they could not talk to, nor understand, each other, and, apart from orders, this fiction is maintained in all circumstances. Even within their own sphere commanders tend to be sparing of words, and thus one comes to expect of other taciturn men, when they do speak, utterances which sound like commands. The misgivings people feel about the relatively free forms of government, often mounting to a kind of contempt, as though they could not possibly function properly, are due to their lack of secrecy. Parliamentary debates are conducted in front of hundreds of people, publicity is of their essence. Completely contrary opinions are openly declared and measured against each other. Even so-called secret sessions do not always remain entirely so, since the professional curiosity of the press, or the financial interests of some group, lead to frequent indiscretions. It is assumed that only a single individual, or a very small group of his creatures, is capable of keeping a secret, and that deliberation is thus best confined to quite small groups, formed with secrecy in view and with very heavy penalties attached to indiscretion. The decision, it is said, should lie with one person, even he cannot know it before he has taken it and, once taken, it is quickly carried out as a command. A large part of the prestige of dictatorship is due to the fact that they are credited with the concentrated power of secrecy. In democracies a secret is dispersed among many people and its power thus weakened. People say scornfully that everything is talked to pieces, that everyone has his say and can interfere, and that nothing ever happens because everything is known about in advance. Superficially, these complaints refer to lack of decisiveness, but in reality to lack of secrecy. People will endure a great deal as long as it is new and exciting and authoritatively presented to them. If one is nothing oneself, there is a peculiar kind of servile gratification to be got from ending in the belly of power. People do not know what will happen, nor when. Others may have precedence with the monster. They wait submissive and trembling and hope to be the chosen victim. This attitude leads to the glorification of the secret. Everything is subordinated to its apotheosis. It does not so much matter what happens, as long as it happens with the fiery suddenness of a volcano, unexpected and irresistible. But, in the long run, all secrets which are confined to one faction, or, still more, to one man must bring disaster, not only to the possessor, which in itself might not matter, but also to all they concern, and that is of tremendous importance. Every secret is explosive, expanding with its own inner heat. It is only today that we fully realize how dangerous secrecy can become. In different, but only apparently independent spheres, it has become loaded with more and more power. Scarcely was the human dictator dead whom the whole world had united to fight, than the secret turned up again in the shape of the atomic bomb, more dangerous than ever and potentially more dangerous still in its derivatives. Let us define the concentration of a secret as the ratio between the number of those it concerns and the number of those who possess it. From this definition it can easily be seen that modern technical secrets are the most concentrated and dangerous that have ever existed. They concern everyone, but only a tiny number of people have real knowledge of them, and their actual use depends on a handful of men.